time has finally come. Time to do the lawn renovation here on the Kikuyu. So I'm going to run you through every single step in today's video on how I like to do a lawn renovation. Let's just rip straight into it. So first step of a lawn renovation is to make sure that your lawn is actively growing, which the lawn is actively growing here because we gave it Fert 3 weeks ago now. I was planning to do my lawn renovation a little bit earlier, but we had some cooler temps unfortunately, so it slowed us up a bit. So today, the lawn is actively growing. You can see that it's nice and green and I'm getting growth. I'm actually mowing it twice a week now, so it's definitely growing quite a bit. So we gave it a Fert a couple of weeks ago just to make sure it was pushing. So now we're gonna give this bad boy a scalp. And the reason we scalp is to get our above ground thatch. So all the material in here in the ground after winter, all the dead brown stuff here, it's basically to pull all of that out of our lawn. And the easiest way to do it is with a mower like this. So what we're gonna do is, this is the Big Bob by Super Swift. We're gonna grab this, set it to the lower setting, and basically take it back to dirt. Now we can't take every single lawn back to dirt. We can do it with Kikuyu, Cooch, Zoysia. You can actually do it with cool season grasses as well. As long as you leave a root system there, you're not gonna really have a problem. I've taken ryegrass back to nearly dirt before and fescue, and it has not been a problem and it has come back fine after lawn renovation. But something like buffalo, we need to be really, really careful because they've got those above ground runners and nothing that actually goes underneath. So you've just got to be careful. Don't cut it back too short because it will take a very long time to recover. And you don't even cover those grass types with sand too much as well. But by Kikuyu and Cooch and even Zoysia, take it back, man. Scalp it back, go nuts with it. So I'm gonna show you guys today. This is gonna take me a little while. I'm glad there's a bit of wind about because we're gonna get sweaty. Let's scalp it back. So when I said back to dirt, I legitimately meant back to dirt, as you can see. So this mower here is really, really good for scalping down because as you can see, it's got an open front, so it allows you to get nice and low down here. I actually have drilled an extra hole. Oh, come on, stuck in there a little bit, an extra hole just there, so we do get that a little bit lower because it wasn't quite low enough in the lower setting. And it's perfect, does the job well. It can cut out a bit if your lawn is a little bit thick, but you just got to keep going over it, back and forth, back and forth. But these are a utility mower. Probably not going to be able to do this with your standard like Honda, Victor, anything like that. You need to get something like a utility mower that is going to drop down that little bit lower to be scalping like that. If you can't scalp all the way down, don't stress, just scalp the lowest setting of the mower that you currently have, and then we'll talk about scarifying afterwards. But let's do this all now. This is probably going to take me like an hour just to get 200 square meters done, so let's rip into it. So as you can see, brown as, love it. I don't know why I love that so much. I like just pulling all the stuff off the top and just making it look absolutely smashed. Need to get to the edges still. Come to the edges in a minute, but yeah, definitely going down to dirt in some areas not quite, but we'll rip a lot more out with the Scarify now. So you can see over here, we've got this Scarify just here. So this is a Protea 510 SC. You can see we've actually got a grooming reel in here, but it's set deep enough that we're going to pull out quite a bit. And we're using it as a Scarify today, basically. Probably going to go over this twice, possibly even 3 times on this whole area. And this is going to pull out all of the below ground thatch. So scalping took all the stuff from above. Now there's what we call rhizomes with Kikuyu below the soil surface. We're going to thin that out as well, because sometimes that can get really, really thick and prevent water getting down to the root system properly, prevent nutrients getting down there. stop even oxygen getting down there as well. So that's the reason we are scarifying as well. Now with Kikuyu and cooch and grasses like that, highly recommend you do this once a year at least if you can do it heavy, or you can do it regularly, really lightly with a grooming reel, and you just set it to just nick into the surface of the soil. There's a couple of different ways you can go about it, but I'm going to just do a heavy one at the moment. I may groom this throughout the season, but the main focus for me is obviously the golf green down in the background just there. So we'll do this now, pull out as much as we can, go in a couple of different directions so we don't miss any. See how much we get out. So we ripped a lot out yesterday, as you can see. I did blow all the existing grass that was here. Instead of using a catcher, I just blew it across the road because I've got some property I can do that. That's not a problem, and it will break down over there. Might even get some kite growing in some areas that I'd like some kikuyu to grow because I've used some Scarifying. If we get some rain, if we don't, it'll probably just die. But as you can see, we ripped the guts out of it. Like, we took so much stuff out, which is really ideal. Now, if you've got a smaller yard and you can't get yourself a Scarifier, you can actually get dethatching rakes from Bunnings. Believe it or not, I think this is a Cyclone one. The brand Cyclone's got one there. I did have one at one point, but I can't seem to find where I've placed it. But they actually are really good for getting your thatch as well, and they can get a bit of the below ground thatch if you're digging deep enough. If you haven't got a huge yard, probably the way to go. Not going to be a problem at all. You don't have to use a mechanical one, but you can hire them out from places like Kennards. They do have those available as well, so there is ways to get them instead of purchasing one. Hiring might be an option for you as well, but it's going to be perfect now. It's going to be perfect to get airflow down here. Got rid of all the sponginess, the thatch that can just cause problems throughout the rest of the season, so really good to have got that done. So next in our lawn renovation is going to be our core aeration. So today we've got this core machine here. Huge shout out to John from Ecoscape Lawns and Gardens here in Orange for letting me lend this. They actually do lawns and gardens and core aeration renovations in this area here. So if you're interested, reach out to the guys. I'll leave the website on the screen here and the number you can call to contact them as well. Make sure you reach out to them if you want your lawn aerated, and they even offer top dressing fertilizer applications as well, so reach out to them if you're interested. But yeah, today we're going to use this. The reason I like using this machine over one of those Bluebirds is because it's so much easier to use, pulls out a better core and a deeper core as well. It just does a better job in general, and it's so handy having these guys in town to be able to access this as well. There are some places at Kennards that do hire machines out like this, but here in Orange they only have the Bluebird machine, which last time I used it, it hurt my back quite a bit, so this thing's going to be ideal. So the reason we do core aeration is to relieve compaction. So over the season, especially the growing season, when it gets quite hot, your lawn can actually get quite compacted when there's a lot of heat around. Also, if there's traffic on there, you're mowing all the time, you will find, especially with clay soils, you tend to get compaction quite easily. You can do a little bit of a screwdriver test. I'll get a screwdriver now and we'll see how compacted it is. But if you can't push a screwdriver into the ground, then you definitely need to think about getting some aeration, which is going to help get some oxygen back down in here and just allow the grass to actually grow properly and get nice and vigorous. If you've got a compacted lawn, your lawn is always going to struggle to grow grass properly. So I like to do an aeration yearly just to keep on top of that, because believe it or not, it's just not traffic that does cause compaction. As I said, it can be the season, how much rain you get, how dry it is, can compact it quite easily. So let's have a look. Let's get a screwdriver and see how hard this lawn is. I don't think it should be that bad because I did this last season and we didn't have a very hot summer last year, so it shouldn't be shocking. I mean, it's still It's still a little bit compacted, but at least I can get the screwdriver all the way down. Sometimes you do this. Oh, it's a bit more compacted there. There we go. Got through it. Sometimes you do this and you can't even get past like that on some lawns. So if you don't know if your lawn needs some aeration, good way to test it. With warm season lawns, perfect to do it this time of year. If you've got a cool season grass, you can do it this time of year. I really recommend though you look at doing your renovation in the autumn time if you've got some ryegrass, some fescue, even some bent grass, any of those cool season grasses, Kentucky bluegrass, look at doing it in the autumn because that's the best time to seed for cool season grasses. Now, we're also going to fill these core holes in once we pull these cores out with some sand, which is also going to help with drainage and allow the water to get down into the soil a lot easier, because here we've got some decent topsoil but quite a lot of clay around here as well. So the sand is really going to help with airflow and drainage as well. So you can see we pulled out a ton of cores here. So they've gone about 3 inches deep. They're breaking apart a bit because it's nice and dry, which is good. But they're about 3 inches deep. Those bad boys there, maybe 2 to 3. Depends. If it was a little bit wetter, here it probably will pull out a better core. I should have really watered it last night beforehand, so it will pull out a really good core, but this will be fine. There's nice like separation between them. Actually no, once you actually put your finger in there, it is actually close to a couple of inches, which is good. You want to aim for 3 to 4 inches, so close to 100 mil in depth if you can. I mean, if you can't get that deep, that's fine. I know those bluebirds really do struggle to go that sort of depth. But yeah, that's what we've got. So we're going to clean this off the lawn now. You could mow it back into the lawn if you really wanted to. Wouldn't be a problem, but we're going to tidy it up now. Take it all off, put it in the back of the gator and dump it somewhere. But there's not much to it, man. You just scrape it all into a pile and pick it up. Thinking about possibly selling these tools in the future as well, because we have got some new lawn levels on the way, which are going to be made by the same guys that made these, which are going to be a lot sturdier, probably powder coated as well. And just be super solid, probably last you the rest of your life. So hopefully mine turns up today and I'll be able to show you guys the new lawn level that I'm going to be looking at using in the future. But let me know if you guys are interested in this thing. Just really handy to clean your cores up, push some sand around if you want to with it. I mean, they're actually used for concreting, but there's multiple uses for these things. Super lightweight and super durable. So aeration is all done and dusted. Last step of this whole process, second last step technically, is going to be our top dressing. So we're going to be using sand, and the reason we use sand is because it actually helps a lot with drainage. It doesn't contain weed seeds, and it's going to allow just it not to get compacted as easily when you're using your sand as well. And it's so much easier to spread and get across the area, and it's not going to break down over time like some of your more organic top dressers can do. Now sometimes organics are needed because you may need to lower your pH. Now it's going to take a long time using organics to bring your pH down, but it is possible because you're changing the actual soil, or you may just need a boost of nutrients in there. It's not a problem if you do use it. Just be aware that if you're trying to get areas level, there's probably not going to keep it level over time as well. By the way, this is our new little puppy, little Maple, a little girl. If she need a little friend, she's very cheeky. What are you doing? But yeah, let's go get the sand. Let's top dress this area and get ready to chuck some water on it. So here I'm using the Eco 250 today. Now you can spread out soil by hand. I'll quickly show you how to do it. That's how I've been doing on this area before I got this machine. So all you got to do is get your shovel, get a shovelful and just flick it out like this. That's all that there is to it. Now we usually aim to put about a cube of sand or soil for top dressing per 100 square meters. You can go a little bit more intense with cooch and kike. We could go 2 cube per 100 square meters if you really want to, and it's going to grow through fine. Just realize this can take a little bit longer to come back through. Now when it comes to selecting sand, this is a question I get every single time. So there's a couple of different options. If you can find some USGA sand, grab that because it'll be awesome. If you can grab some 90-10 or some 80-20, so 10% organics, 90% sand, same with the 80-20. These are just really designed for grass because they don't have too many fines and they're not too coarse as well. So this mix I've got here is actually from Ugara, and it's very close to a USGA sand and a 90-10. So I've got some fines, got some coarse particles in it. Now the reason you don't want too many fines is because then it will just clump together and won't let water through, and if it's too coarse, it's going to let too much water through. So you've got to sort of get just a balance with it. Sometimes some wash pit sand can be fine as well. But again, the reason why we want to use sand is because it's going to keep our levels over time, not going to have any weed seeds in it as well, and it's just so much easier to level an area with it. So let's put this out right now, and I'm going to aim for about 1 metre per 100 square meters because we don't have a lot of leveling to do today. It's more to fill in core holes, and really that's really about it. If I really wanted to level this like crazy, I'd have to cut some out because there's some humps and bumps like in the middle, just some undulations, which honestly I'm not worried about. You can't even really see them until you're mowing over it, but it doesn't have any impact on the mowing, so it doesn't really matter. That machine makes easy work of a hard job. Man, so good. So we went pretty heavy, not crazy heavy, but enough for what we want to do here today to fill the core holes in, as we can see, like this. And we'll get the lawn level out in a minute and push this around because there's some parts that will need some sand pushed in there. Hence why we still need to get our lawn level out. But nice and thick, which is what we want, and we can do this with kikuyu grass, cooch, even zoysia. Buffalo, as I've mentioned before, do not go too heavy because it will struggle to push back through. It's just the way it is. Same with cool season grasses. Bent grass you can go a little bit heavier. Kentucky bluegrass you can as well, but ryegrass and fescues, make sure there's some leaf popping out the top and showing after you do your top dress. So just so you get the lawn level, let's spread this around, make sure that it is actually nice and level and fills those core holes in, and then we'll be on to fertilising. So this is the lawn level here. It's basically going to help drag the sand into spots that are a little bit low, nice and flat, and just allows you to level your lawn out properly. Seriously, if you didn't have this tool, it would be super hard to push the sand or soil around and make the area nice and level. So next we're going to put out my Dominate fertiliser on top of this. The reason I'm choosing Dominate today is because of the higher nitrogen, so it's got 28%. Now some of that is going to be some slow release fert in there, but it is going to give this a kick of growth and help it push through the sand. Now I haven't gone super heavy with the sand this time around. I kind of wish I did go a little bit heavier, but I'm actually out of sand. I thought I had more up there at my sand pile, but it's fine. I don't need to level this out like crazy, so it's not a big problem. I've probably only gone about 1 kilo, not 1 kilo, 1 cube per 100 square meters on this area here. So yeah, I'd love to have got probably double that out and just give it a really, really heavy top dress because our temps are perfect at the moment. We'll put this fertilizer out. I'm going to put it out 2 kilos per 100 square meters of this Dominate. You can put it anywhere between 1 to 3 kilos. We're just going to go half because we did give this a feed about 4 weeks ago now, maybe 5 weeks ago. So there's still a bit of growth pushing from the fertilizer we had down then, which again was a lower rate. So we'll just give a little bit of a boost now, and that should just really help with this area repair. You're right. So the lawn reno is all done and dusted. Really good feeling to have that all done. So just to remind you guys of the whole process, first we scalped it back, got rid of all the above ground thatch, scarified it to get the below ground thatch after that, and a little bit of the above ground stuff as well, because scalping's not going to get absolutely everything. And then from there we did our core aeration after cleaning everything up and taking all the stuff out of there. Core aeration, cleaned off the cores, then top dress with some sand, and then we put some fertilizer down to help kick it back into gear after leveling it out as well with that lawn level. So the process from here on in is just making sure that you keep this place nice and moist. Don't let it dry out too much because you have got a bit of sand on here. It does get a little bit water, retains a little bit more heat as well, and we are trying to repair it from absolutely stressing it out like crazy. So I'm going to water this at least once a day for the next week, and then I'll show you guys how it's looking by this time next week. You guys will see a full update on this area just here, but you just got to baby it along. Make sure you're not letting it get stressed out too much. Once a day for like 20 minutes of water is going to be enough, but always keep an eye on it. You'll be able to see if it's stressing out a bit and if it needs a little bit more water as well. Some guys like to do a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon. If you're doing a reno later in the season, it's fine to do a lawn renovation as well. Anytime during the season that your lawn is actively growing, and you're going to be able to give it at least a month of warm weather after you've done your lawn renovation as well. So if you did it too late in the season, like in March or April, there's a chance that it's going to cool off suddenly, maybe get some frosts depending where you live, and you're just not going to get good results, enough time for it to repair. So that's why we do it this time of year, because we've got the whole season ahead for it to go absolutely nuts. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about it, flick it down in the comments there. Hopefully you guys learned something new from that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys very soon.